Warm-up underway in Pro Shifter as the 2025 SuperKarts USA Pro Tour finale is here. My name's Andrew Clements from Newcastle Motorsports Park, America's Heartland in Spiceland, Indiana. And alongside me, Justin Prince, Caleb Viesca will be down on pit lane throughout the entirety of this weekend. 300 plus, the biggest summer nationals in history, just a couple of drivers shy of the biggest SKUSA Pro Tour in history. That was opening weekend this year, and it's a 42 driver Pro Shifter grid, the biggest gearbox entry list outside of the Super Nationals in a number of seasons. And well, top of the board here in warm-up, Justin, the big guy himself, Danny Formal, and his return to GFC, hot off his first career IMSA GTD class victory. Fastest to kick things off here today.
Yeah, looking very consistent to start things off here today to begin things. But Jay Irwin going to be also one of the drivers to keep an eye on. Second in that session. He's been quick in every session so far. Amongst one of the contenders expected throughout this weekend, obviously, with the pedigree showcase so far in 2025.
They'll head to the scale lines. We'll head to the commercial break. We have a lot to dive into here this morning as we kick things off. We hope you will be enjoying the coverage. I know Justin and I are excited to bring it all to you alongside our fantastic Kart Chaser crew. We'll be back with the 2025 SuperKarts USA Summer Nationals.
All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Junior.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy in 2024 for TV Kart.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moza equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Florida Kart Racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
halfway through the warm-up sessions here. KA 100 Senior, a sold-out house. Nash Motorsports KA Senior at 48 drivers strong off the pre-entry list. And lots to catch up on, lots to talk about back at Cincinnati. Last time a handful of them were on our feet, including the one on screen in the Pantano chassis for Forward Direction Motorsports. Ruben Moya was making some noise. Saturday was a pretty wild main event in Ohio. Sunday a little bit more tame, but in a last-second call that weekend as the slot had opened up in another sold-out division, they were able to get the Spanish Salmon into both senior divisions, and he is one of many, including the kid in front of him pulling double duty today, Donovan Bonilla from Mexico, the 2023 SKUSA Super Nationals Pro X30 champion. Following him around, both of these drivers yet to put a lap in as we get things started, and we can set the set the table for you for what today will look like. So another one in the books here. Warm up for KA Senior now down, and the first time this season X30 Junior has actually hit the cap. 45 drivers make up the entry list for the X30 Junior division presented by Rollison Performance Group, and a number of notable names of the way that this event has fallen. How about this young man, Lucas Palacio, the Williams F1 Academy driver, one of many J. Howard Driver Development Kart Republic entries, and the youngest ever X30 Junior national level winner in Superkarts USA. Won at just 10 years old and a couple of months earlier this year in Orlando for the SKUSA Winter Series. He will be a factor, but when there's 45 deep, there are a lot of factors and drivers who can make some noise in this class, Justin.
Yeah, obviously when it comes to this class overall, you have Alexander Vanchev that's put on a dominating performance, especially with the fact that we've seen Vanchev pull away several times, as much as 20 seconds in one race down in Houston. But when you also throw in the mixed drivers like Woon, Pettit, in terms of consistency amongst those in the championship conversation, there are a lot of drivers I think that have the chance to be able to keep up, provide pressure with Vanchev. But so far, that 996 number plate had been the dominant force so far throughout this season. The 796, I should say. Every time we've seen him out on the racetrack, it's going to be all about trying to beat Alexander Vanchev.
Yeah, what a year he has had. In a class that has seen quite a few bring the fight to him, he has always managed to be in the picture weekend in, weekend out. And this weekend will be the biggest test he has seen yet, as we got a couple a little bit out of shape. That looked to be maybe one of the BJRLN karts, potentially Marco Salmon, a little bit sideways at turn 5 to kick off the practice session. But warm-up underway now for the 7 to 12-year-olds. This will be one of the final few classes to practice before we get into qualifying. Mini Swift is currently on deck, nearly 40 deep in that one, and Pro X30 at 35 or 36 will play cleanup on the day's lineup. You can check out the running order of classes, the overall timetable for the weekend, as well as live timing and scoring by going to our link tree, tr.ee/kartchaser. Of course, those that are in the pits are probably more than aware of when they need to be on the racetrack and when the sessions they want to watch will be as well. We'll be live on the Newcastle Motorsports Park Racers Grill TVs all weekend, live on YouTube here right now, free to watch to get dialed in for the weekend, and then we'll go to KC members only once we get through qualifying for the pre-finals and today's main events. We got one around. Lourenco Varela, big-time spinner, end of the long straightaway, all the way right to our camera station. The 767 with a wild ride. That's a wake-up call and a half, Justin.
Yeah, way out off the racing surface, and that's one of the areas we were talking about this morning, actually, where they're with that part of the racetrack, that run out of those 90s, where the start and finish line is. It's so easy for drivers to kick out into the grass and go off the racing surface, and that's one thing we may see a lot of when it comes to things. All while the rest of this field settles on in. Alexander Vanchev looking solid so far this session with teammates.
And he's been solid all year. Let's take a look back here at the 2025 SKUSA Pro Tour for Alexander Vanchev. Kicking things off down in Houston, Texas at Speed Sports Racing Park. Just a bit of a cut above the field early on, and there was a lot of defending behind that allowed him to have a huge gap at the end of that first main event. Sunday, though, a bit of a different story, Justin.
Yeah, that Sunday he had to work a little bit harder to be able to make some passes, had to work around his teammate, in fact, take the lead. Him, along with the rest of the field, still had to fight all the way to the end, still able to pick up the win. Then Vanchev, when it came to Cincinnati, looked dominant again in the first race. Pulled away by another 7+ seconds, pick up the win, but that last part of the day was a little bit more trickier. Had to fend off several drivers like Max Weiland. But this incident here changed the complexion of the race. Contact sends off one driver. Vanchev slows down as a result of it. Ends up losing lots of ground in the fourth race.
He was on track to be perfect to that point. Houston on Sunday had a Speed Concepts Racing driver behind him. In Cincinnati, it was the same. In Texas, Ashton Woon, the X30 Junior rookie. And in Cincinnati on Saturday, Travis Pettit tried to keep him honest on both days. But like you said, the contact there that sent Tristan Murphy out and into the weeds, then kind of shuffled Vanchev back, and it was so late in the race at that point, he didn't really have a lot of momentum to go back forward. And he didn't look as strong as the years gone on compared to where we started back in March with the Winter Nationals. We have seen a much bigger push and honestly more competition at his doorstep as every main event has drawn on. So while it should be a relatively simple cruise to the finish to close out a banner season and a championship, adding to the fact that you've got about 10 more drivers in the grid or on the grid this weekend than the first 2 rounds of the season, well, it's going to be a little more difficult to put on the performances that we saw him at rounds 1 through 4. But still, again, he has been fast in practice. He sits 3rd right now as the times will populate on the left side. Luca Popescu, his teammate, currently sits quickest. Marco Samet 2nd. And as we check in here with this group, Travis Pettit, I don't know if you could argue that anyone's got more momentum than Alexander Vanchev coming into the Summer Nationals, but Travis Pettit might be a very strong counter to that. Getting his first win at Cincinnati in KA Junior, then backing that up with the X30 Junior win for a sweep on the day to close the weekend out. And it has been a fantastic summer for Hurricane Travis Pettit, and we've had some hurricane-level winds and rain already. That'll be a factor for everyone to keep their eyes on throughout the entirety of this Summer Nationals weekend. But he right now sits 6th, and like I said, I think he's riding easily the biggest wave of momentum and confidence in his young career, but arguably one of the highest on the field of 45 altogether. And he's got a pack of about 5 of them following around through the green corner, up the road. His teammate, Ashton Woon, who we saw in those highlights from Texas, he had a very, very good start to his junior campaign. This is the 2024 Mini Swift SKUSA Pro Tour champion, his first full season in the full-size classes. and to go second to the ultimately dominant driver of 2025 when it comes to junior ranks, especially in X30 Junior. It was a high bar he had to maintain, and while the rest of this summer has been, well, maybe not to that degree, he has still had a very impressive rookie campaign. So with the checkers flying, he's going to have a little bit more speed to find, it looks like, for qualifying. 9/10 off in the warm-up and 15th. But again, so does Pettit, his teammate, only able to get within 4.5 of the quickest, and even Vanchev a couple tenths off the burner lap time by Luca Popescu. We'll take another break here now, folks. Mini Swift on grid, Pro X30 to follow, and then it's time to set the lineups with qualifying for round 5 for the double duty divisions and qualifying plus Super Pole for round 3 of the 2025 SKUSA Pro Tour Pro Shifter Championship. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
It's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion Paulie Massimino. Car rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to KA100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead-follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Attention Superkarts USA drivers. Be sure to order your complete photo package from On Track Promotions. All drivers receive a minimum of 40 photos from throughout Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with instant access from our automated delivery system. Visit otp.ca right now to get instant access to your photos.
Welcome back to Newcastle. Mini Swift on track now as the sessions get set to roll for the final 2 divisions to get their laps on the racetrack. This session tomorrow might see some of the fastest times all weekend after a full day of laying down a lot of Avinco tire rubber. Today, I don't know if we'll see exactly that, and I think that'll be probably a big talking point when we do get to the qualifying sessions. With so many classes, literally every single one above 30 besides Shifter Masters, they will all be split into groups for the majority of the divisions, every double duty class, so all of the undercard classes, they will be going off of happy hour lap times. Fastest group will go second. The bottom half from happy hour will go out first. So that could be a potential advantage for the drivers that were able to have a good final practice session on Friday afternoon. However, Pro Shifter will buck that trend. They will go odds and evens from happy hour, so that's why you probably may have noticed in some of the posts yesterday a lot of variance in the top 10 because there was no pressure to perform in the last session. As good of a read as it could be on the day, you may see drivers opting for a different tire strategy of when to deploy a new set of Avincos to try and go and hit a burner, whether it may be practice 4 or practice 3. The odds and evens split for them is meant to, again, evenly match the groups in theory to then go to Super Pole. It'll be the top 6 drivers from each of those groups that transfer to the final stage of qualifying. All 12 will then get only 2 laps, and really it'll all come down to that second one, even at the size of this racetrack, to set the first 12 starting spots for the heat races. But Mini Swift, again, part of the double duty classes and part of that grouping that is well above 30 entries. This weekend, it appears we've got 33, at least that's so far, that have hit the timing line in warm-up. And it's a very interesting championship, Justin, especially when you factor in the drops. Before the drops, when you look on the standard SKUSA official website from Speed Hive, Jaden Francisco leads over Enzo De Janeiro by 55 markers. However, if you were to factor one of their lowest scoring round of the first 4 rounds so far in the season as their drop, assuming they would score more points than that here this weekend, well, that brings the margin down to 5 points. That is really less than the difference between first, second, and third in the main events. It's a split of that in the pre-finals. It's a 10-point bonus for just the pole in qualifying. So there's a lot that could change. Again, here's a look at what it would be with the drops not factored in. Francisco, Enzo De Janeiro, Win Godshock, who has started to really light things up over the course of the summer. Maxwell Macha a little bit further back. Aston Wyatt, Cameron Johnson, and his debut with Nash Motorsports this weekend. Asher Pavon and crew on down the top 10. But again, that is before the drops are factored. When they are, it's a 5-point swing from first to second. Only 18 back to Win Godshock. And that's something to note here, right? The maximum point score on a weekend is 320. 200 points for the main, 100 points for the pre-final, and 10 for the pole, and 10 for the fastest lap. Jaden Francisco's current lowest score of the first 4 rounds in the season, 270 markers. That's a massive, massive points haul. It was a very consistent run, and that's why he leads by a bigger margin before the drops are factored in. Enzo De Janeiro has a 220 right now as his lowest score. Win Godshock has 102. So Win Godshock has no room for error today. He needs to have a fantastic run on Saturday and Sunday, and that will help him. But Jaden Francisco, especially at a 270 drop when the max score is 320, he has a mulligan kind of in the bag, Justin.
Yeah, especially with the consistency, as you refer to, that he's had all campaign long, which has kind of made it very difficult in terms of being able to keep up. But know for the fact that a lot of these drivers have already looked through the tape, been able to try and look at their notes to try and see where can they find the fastest times here. And Francisco is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. I know he was watching a lot of race film yesterday to learn every bit of markers for this racetrack to try and make sure, drop or no drop, he doesn't lose this points lead.
Now, Pro X30, the championship here also. Best 5 of 6 rounds. And we'll definitely touch on the championship fight, but some of the drivers we're showing right here have quite a bit to fight for as well, like the GFCs, Jake Drew and Jesus Vasquez Jr. first in that frame, all the way back through that entire crew. They enter this weekend on the outside looking in of the top 10. Now, why does that matter? Well, in the pro divisions, both Pro X30 and Pro Shifter, the championship prize pool goes down to 10th place. $1,000 cash at 10th, along with a $3,600 value package for the full race entry and tires for all 3 rounds or all 3 weekends of the SKUSA Pro Tour in 2026. That is a huge boost for any driver to stay behind the wheel. Every driver you'll see here in this session at numbers 10 and below, like Paulie Massimino at number 5, they were in that Circle of Champions fund last year, and it allowed them to continue to compete and be able to find a seat to do it from. Paulie with his first big regular season X30 Pro win, or Pro X30 win coming at the U.S. Pro Kart Series a few weeks ago in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, against the stack grid. Joe Turney, Ryan Norberg, Austin Garrison, Diego Ramos was not there. He's the number 3 lined up in front of him, but that grid alone was stacked. Maybe not as much as this weekend, but it was a monkey off his back for one of the wily veterans in the field. And you could put Diego Ramos in that similar conversation, looking for that first Pro X30 main event victory. He has performed in every other package they have put him in. He has even led the championship coming into this race a year ago. But yet, that first checkered flag has not yet fallen into his lap. This weekend could be the weekend for it. He and Timothy Pernod looked very impressive on Friday. Now, while me and you have been yapping a little bit here, Caleb Viesca's been boots on the ground. Let's go down to him. Good morning to you, Caleb.
Good morning to you guys up. Pleasure to be here at the SKUSA Summer Nationals for the 2025 edition. Couple of new things this weekend, right? The layout. We ran the same layout last year, but we're going the opposite direction this year, which I think, speaking to a couple of drivers like Jordan Musser, he was saying turn one of the most difficult passing points in this track, and especially if you drop a tire, you're going to pretty much ruin your run throughout the rest of the run up to turn number 5, just past the scale house as well. But talking to a couple of drivers, Keegan Kaminsky, one of the biggest ones that I talked to here, especially before Pro X30, his first start in the Pro X30 ranks, and he said the hardest thing to kind of get used to has been the driving style. He said he followed Ryan Norberg a little bit last year, and he was kind of asking himself, how are these guys doing what they're doing and going so fast? So that's been the biggest thing for Keegan Kaminsky. But I tell you, Xander, the run of turn number 1, very, very high speed, and I think that's going to make up for some great racing later on today.
Yeah, Keegan Kaminsky advancing up this weekend. I talked to him a little bit when he came over to do some media with us yesterday afternoon about how he felt. He said he got 2 good test days before this weekend with Jake Drew, one at Apex karting circuit and one at K1 circuit. Those 2 tracks, a massive contrast. You have a Martinsville type layout, a very old school tight and twisty track at Apex, and one of the largest and flowing tracks in the world and in the country here for sure in K1 circuit. That feels a bit like a super speedway even in the X30 classes. So he's got a taste of both ends, but only one day in each. Said he wasn't in the points championship or conversation in KA Senior, so might as well try out an early debut to Pro X30 before he gears up for that 2026 campaign. And it would be a lot easier to try and move up there with his teammates, having some good data and hopefully being able to join him on the grid next year. Jake Drew, Chase Hand, Jesus Vasquez Jr. all have a chance to boost themselves into the top 10 in the points, but they're right now on the outside looking in. There's nothing to 11th, but there is 10th on up, a massive purse that goes all the way to the championship at $10,000, a Supernats entry this season, and of course the 2026 season as well. And right now, the reigning champ, Ryan Norberg, Mr. 10-time, he is chasing a ghost of himself from the future at this point. When you look to the history books, no one has been nearly as successful for this long in such a competitive category as this man has been. And now he is hunting number 11 on the overall title count here this weekend. He enters with only one man in contention. That is, a driver, a fellow friend he's grown up racing against in Austin Garrison. Those two went back and forth at the opening rounds of the year in Cincinnati. They were joined by Gus Lawrence, who is back again this weekend to finish out the 2025 U.S. National Tour. We'll be happy to hear that, and we'll also be happy to continue to spread that message to many of his fans and followers from across the pond. The driver from the United Kingdom, who was impressive, to say the least, in his first 2 tryout weekends. But this year started off with a head-to-head battle here, Justin. These two back and forth in a barn burner finish on Saturday, and well, they thought that wasn't enough. They wanted to top it back off with some more action on Sunday. Norberg with the first win in the season.
They went back and forth again in Houston the second day, back and forth several times over. Every time in that second to last and third to last corner, where it was send after send. Eventually, Garrison was the one who got the very edge in that one. They would battle again in Cincinnati, where they were able to go in the first day of the races, back and forth, where Garrison was able to get the run going to the middle sector, be able to get the pole alongside, but it was a drag race Where the very end, remember, Norberg was able to get the edge at the stripe. They kept it up again, not for the win because Gus Lawrence put on a great performance on the second day. He celebrated a win, but it was a drag race, as you've seen, a photo finish at the end of day 2 for those two. They've been going back and forth every single race where it seems like they're stuck together. So there is little difference between the two of them on speed. Gus Lawrence was the difference maker in terms of the win count for the last time out, but those two have just stayed together up front every weekend.
They've been the class of the field, and again, joining them up front, there have been more that have started to make some noise, and when Ryan and Austin were battling on the Saturday at round 3, it brought a few other players into it. But the big note and the big takeaway from that Sunday final was the fact that Austin Garrison got a penalty for driving down in trying to keep Saturday from repeating itself in the run to the line. He beat Norberg to the timing loop, but the officials deemed it as penalty worthy for the hand movement or cart movement and placement to the line. It was obviously something that went deep into the evening on back and forth with conversations in the stewards, but ultimately that day severely hindered Austin Garrison's championship hopes because while Brian didn't get the win, a second on that day and another good run in the pre-final puts him really comfortable coming into Newcastle. Garrison needs Ryan to have a rough day today. Otherwise, if he puts on another top 3 performance, he could lock the title up with a day to go by having just 5 consistent high-scoring rounds before the drops would be factored in, and he could sit on the bench on Sunday if he wanted to. But before the drops get factored, here's a look at how they stack up coming into the weekend. Norberg, Garrison, Caden, McQueen, your top 3. And again, with drops, that knocks third on back outside of the championship conversation. However, 3rd through 5th and then 3rd to 6th really is a pretty big swing in the prize pool, and you can see how close it is. Paulie Massimino to McQueen to Ruben Moya on his first SKUSA Pro Tour season, and a return for Forward Direction Motorsports, the Denver, Colorado-based Pontano team. They now are well in contention for a Circle of Champions funded seat for 2026. And Ruben Moya, he has been fun to watch here, and hopefully he'll be the one to pilot that machine in 2026 as well if he can keep it inside the top 10. You can see Jesus Vasquez Jr. before the drops are factored inside the top 10 for the Circle of Champions Fund. Ty Fisher absent this weekend. He will inevitably drop down the board, and that would then allow Blake Nash an open spot higher, Donovan Bonilla higher, and Diego Ramos as well. And we'll cover some of the drivers that are sitting outside of the top 10 in the standings later on, but it's already time to begin setting those lineups. KA Junior Qualifying coming up here shortly, presented by Trinity Karting Group. The first of 2 groups in the 48 driver field. The bottom 24 from Happy Hour on Friday will get set to hit the racetrack here in a few moments. Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney, Turney in the dirt.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Holy mess!
Qualifying underway for KA100 Junior as the first laps are just getting rolling here from Newcastle. Once again, this is only half of the grid. These are the drivers from the bottom half from Friday practice. 24th on back. Couple of notables out on circuit, but the majority of the heavy hitters that we'll expect to fight for pole are in group number 2. Now, we did not get any overnight weather, but we did have quite a bit of rain to close out the day on Friday, so that's going to give you a bit of a mixed bag. The KA Juniors, granted, they got their session in before the showers hit us in the afternoon. It came right at the end of the Pro Shifter happy hour session, but still, that means that the track is going to kind of have a bit of a reset with how heavy the rain did appear here in Spiceland. So how much of a benefit will it be to be in the fast group? It's always a bit different, event to event, sometimes day to day, Justin, because right now we're seeing them all play pretty nice. The fast group might have a better racetrack by 2 or 3 tenths, but if they all want to wait around, play games to try and get a draft or set up a tow, well, these drivers that are just putting their heads down and just pounding laps away might end up better than them.
Yeah, I was talking with a couple drivers yesterday, and the main thing that came up when I asked them, how do you expect this track to drive, and how do you expect to find speed, was quite simple. It was expecting it to be a packed race for a little bit, and once where groups would be able to pull away, build some distance, be able to go from there, but you have to be able to utilize the draft if you want to find a great time. The other thing a lot of people were battling yesterday, though, too, Xander, was the amount of, was trying to find the right balance on grip. Some of these teams were saying that they had almost too much grip into their karts early on in the day, and some of them were trying to peel back to find better drive for when the sessions moved on. That was before the rain hit for some of those teams. So it's been about finding that balance and finding that chance to get the right setup down, but also getting yourself in a position once you get on the track to where you're able to build so much draft distance down these straightaways.
Drew Jensen to the top of the board here, that time behind the 858 machine. Braden Wagner up to second on the GFC. Isaac Payne to third, and that was in kind of that first group we were watching, the first 5 or so that hit the circuit. Then Darren Kidd, Ethan Sky Manuchik, fifth on his second lap at speed with a 5-minute time for the session, and the timer starting once they hit the racetrack. They're only going to really get to finish this lap off and maybe get one more, but I don't know if all of the field will, so it should be at least 3, maybe 4 laps. Again, when you count that first lap as kind of sorting yourself out and still bringing the tires up to temperature and finding your marks and rhythm with the current conditions from when you were back out on the circuit as the very first session of the day, you've only got 2, maybe 3 chances to put all corners together on this massive 1.1 mile layout here at Newcastle Motorsports Park. This is the first time we've run this configuration. We've ran it backwards, and that was the exact layout, but the opposite direction for 2024. We've run the standard layout the track was built for without that infield shark fin corner as it's most commonly known. But the other thing that's totally different about this year's layout, beyond just one little chicane down the straight to the I-70 hairpin, is the fact we're using the original finish line. The starts will still be down the major straight, but that timing loop is after the first 90-degree corner, and that will change things up. This is the first year ever that SuperKarts USA has done it. They kind of led the train to of all major events that rolled through this place to move the finish line to the end of the major straightaway. And it made a lot of slingshot passes with the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, similarly, where the end of the straightaway timing loop would be setting up those drag races solely off the toe, like what we saw with Norberg and Garrison. But again, this year, completely different to the way these sessions will end. I don't know if we'll see a lot of dives in this corner with the short run out of the shark fin sector and having a relatively short brake zone, whereas it's usually at the end of a straightaway equal to this one. But right here, that would be the finish. It's only going to be the start. They've got to make it all the way to this line, where the checkers fall now here for the first group. Drew Jensen, Isaac Payne, Braden Wagner, 1, 2, 3 with a changeup at the line, and the benchmark is set. 72-772 for Group 1 from KA Junior.
Not bad to start things off, but as expected, though, we have that fast group. It's going to now have a bit more of a greener racetrack and more rubbered-in racetrack, should say, for when they hit their session. Already those karts getting the chance to get the boost onto the racetrack, and now it's the matter of seeing how they play things out. And right now it's pretty clear a lot of people don't want to be that driver in the midst of the pack. Vanchev saying, where are you guys going? I want to be able to get a good lap together. Everybody else is trying to get a draft off of him.
Yeah, nobody wanted to lead. He said, fine, I'll do that, and I'll drive away from you all here on the outlap. So Alexander Vanchev out of that cell tower corner. Fast in the end of Friday. Got him at least a top-of-the-grid lineup here towards the first few spots to go out onto the circuit for Saturday morning qualifying. But, yeah, usually we'll see a big train going about 5 miles an hour all the way till this point in the circuit until someone bites the bullet and blinks and says, well, the session's ticking away. I need to go. Might as well just go ahead and start rolling. And Alexander Vanchev's done that, but he hasn't broken away. His teammate has locked right behind him. That is the number 836 machine, who is Jose Alejandro Halfin in the 36 in X30 Junior, and I don't believe that's him here in this one. That may be one of the other many purple and pink and blue Rawls Performance Group entries. Here's Max Weiland right behind. That'll line up as well. It is Halfin indeed in the 836 right there. So Jose Halfin and Alexander Vanchev, your first two. Max Weiland the next in duos that are kicking things off here in the morning with the 5-minute session. We won't know exactly when the timer will hit 0. Head flagman will have the stopwatch for that. So we'll just have to keep tabs on it of how many laps they'll get. Most of that first group did get 4, and I think it'll be the same for this one as well.
Now keep in mind, one thing we just got information on was that drivers so far in this session have set track temperature would have been higher, so it's a much cooler condition compared to yesterday where temperatures reached 90, 100 degrees yesterday in terms of temperatures. Believe Caleb was standing on by with somebody that's made a lot of recent NASCAR starts, Brent Cruz.
Thank you there, Justin. Standing by here with Brent. First of all, what a crazy weekend for you. Yesterday, you were over in Indianapolis racing, got a win to your name. Talk about the weekend as well. How's everything been in racing Pro Shifter now Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, it's really good. I'm just grateful and happy to be here. I had a great night last night. Was able to win the ARCA race, and I think we had some issues in the truck. But, yeah, just happy to be here. Can't thank Leading Edge Motorsports enough. I have a super fast package, just lacking a little bit of seat time. But, yeah, ready to go. I love this racetrack, and I think it's been probably 3 or 4 years since I've been here. So feeling like an old veteran now, and I'm only 17. But, yeah, just happy to be here and ready to go.
I think good results for you last time you were here as well. But I want to talk about, what brings you out here. You're out in Salem Racing Shifter as well. Pretty good final for you there. And then you're here this weekend, right, in one of the biggest shifter fields that you've ever raced in. What brings you out here? What went behind the decision to come out here this weekend?
Yeah, well, I know I wanted to do Quaker to just see how we were speed-wise, and we struggled all weekend. And then I was like the 3rd fastest go-kart in the final and came from 25th to 7th. So that kind of brought the spark back in me to get back out here for Newcastle. And to be honest with you, I just missed racing with my dad and Greg Bell, and I enjoy them. Just getting to race with them again, just like the good old days. So I would say that's the main reason I'm out here, and hopefully we'll go find some more speed today.
Well, best of luck this weekend, Brent.
Thank you.
Pro Shifter qualifying getting queued up here behind the KA Juniors and crew. We've got still that 72-77 holding strong at the top of the board. In fact, all 3 of them with a burner. That lap would have put Drew Jensen second in Friday happy hour. So is that the track going much quicker here in the cooler conditions of Saturday morning? Or are we going to see a number of drivers punch their way into the top of this 48-driver field from the slow group? You just saw Travis Pettit bail out of line there. He wanted to reset, wanted to get out of the fray, out of the pack, and line up behind Valentino Santian and try to run up to them for his 4th lap. This will be a setup lap and a burn on lap number 3, but keep your eyes on the 8:29 to, at the last second, put up a buzzer beater time to start well, because again, nobody really out of this initial group is looking all too strong. We'll keep tabs on it all here as the session continues.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be down to where the times really shuffle here for a lot of these drivers. Some of these competitors, I believe, starting to hit towards the 1:12.1s, realistically speaking, as times now reset. Jackson Gibson indeed top of the board right now by almost 1/10 of a second. Him and Travis Pettit setting the standard in the late portions of the sessions. Drew Jensen, for reference, fell down to about 15th.
So there it is. Only 3 for that entire group. Only the front couple from the slow group got 4, and everyone else will go in. Jackson Gibson, top of the boards in KA Junior Qualifying. Pettit will drop into second. It was not going to be another lap, so he didn't get anything more out of it. But Jackson Gibson, SKUSA Pro Tour Pole Award winner in our first division on the day, KA 100 Junior for Ryan Perry Motorsport. A nice one indeed for Jackson. So 48 in KA Junior, and quickly from that 30 plus to the youngest superstars on the SKUSA Pro Tour, Micro Swift. And the 200 number range already starting to slowly roll out, and this is a bit more of the standard. One big line and everyone trying to figure out who's the driver they want to be nearby. But 2 groups again split in half from Friday Happy Hour.
So far this season, we've seen a lot of speed from Dutch Westbrook and Brody Stoffel in terms of the point standings. Alex Lockhart has stood out so far this campaign. But for many of these drivers, it's going to be about, can they get in the right position to be able to control things for later on in the day, to be able to get comfortable in terms of these battles. A lot of these drivers, it looks like, just trying to work in the groups of 2 or 3, settle on down, be able to get the draft together, and go from there like the 287 machine you see on the racetrack. So leading the way, and Liam Stellis. Others just try to settle on forward to see where they're going to shuffle in the order here before that fast group comes out.
Let's watch them down the long straight. 5 together, single file. Caden Cladera leads the pack into what'll be, again, the final turn of the layout. And we'll wait to see as the times begin to populate here for Micro Swift. But of the division, well, let's take a look at the championship standings as well and kind of touch on that coming into the weekend. We've talked about it in a number of other classes here, Justin. When you look at the Micro Swift point standings coming into today, Dutch Westbrook, before the drops, has a 48 marker lead back to Brody Stoffel. The drops for the pair of them are relatively equal. Dutch actually has a slightly lower drop, so his gap will increase by just a little bit over Brody when those drops would be factored after rounds 1 through 4 are done. Lennox Lockhart, he'll gain a little bit from 108 points back to bringing himself to around maybe 60 to 70 markers away from the points if you drop one of the first few rounds. Zev Gottschalk enters the weekend 4th with his brother Wynn 3rd in the mini Swift class. I wonder if those two are elbowing each other of who's looking better in their respective division. Aiden Go, what a weekend it was for that young man in Cincinnati. Go from nowhere to into the title talks with a 5th place entering the weekend, to Caden Cladera, who we see on track here, Jack Katowski, Hudson Howard, Mason Brody, and then Brody Brown rounds the top 10 entering the Summer Nationals. So the first few laps, again, just getting rolling here for the Micros, and off the rip, a good couple for the AMAX Racing drivers. Diesel Maxwell sits 7th. You then have Lincoln Wiley in 6th. And top of the boards, Lawrence Jorgensen, 78.81 for Lawrence there. That's a huge lap to kick things off in the 207.
Yeah, already up 0.8 of a second so far over the rest of the field. That is going to be a really good tone setter, I think, for the 207 to be able to try and find something. And they're doing this on their own. No draft assistance. Nothing along those lines. This is just on raw speed and raw consistency so far for Jorgensen. Now it's going to be the question, though, where is it going to stack up once the fast group comes on down for these times? But you can see him just laser focused on just hitting those marks, getting around this racetrack, being able to build up this buffer and hopefully maintain it over the rest of the field.
One of the many race teams based in the Indianapolis greater area, AMAX Racing, 3 entries here in the first group. But again, for Lawrence Jorgensen, maybe all by himself, he can put a lap time that'll hold well against the drivers still yet to run. 15 are on the circuit right now, all the way to Cassiel Marcano on the parallel back there. Then you, of course, can start to see some of the names that are getting set to roll, like Leo Simone, Liam Francisco, Brody Brown, Dominic Nagel, Tyler Blackwood, all with showing no time on the pylon. That's because they're on the grid waiting for the command to fire. But we're following Lawrence Jorgensen around a 78. 81. Grayson Knifick in the 204 Velocity Sodi is the next best. He's moved up to P2. Samuel Chavarry's gone to 3rd. Cladera's bumped back to 5th. They're all in that big gaggle behind. But the 207 LN Kart is headed for what should be the checkered flag this time. This should be the final lap that he'll get rounding I-70 as that timer now has hit the 5-minute mark. And I believe we'll see the black and white checkerboard in the wind once he gets around the end of the long straight, and again, the 90-degree corner to finish the lap off.
There's going to be a lot of opportunities in this area potentially during the races today to make some passes before that final 90-degree corner. But look at that. Some shuffles top of the board. Lincoln Wiley jumps to the top, puts himself in the 1:18.3s. Able to jump up by half a second, some of those drivers, to close out this grouping, able to find some speed in those main packs.
So Lincoln Wiley, Grayson Knifick, Liam Astalis with a big lap there at the end as well. Another Indianapolis-based team, J. Howard Driver Development, a busy weekend for them. The USF Juniors drivers in action at Road America, just a little bit north of us, a little northwest. That's where Rob Howden is at, calling the beginning of the ladder to the NTT IndyCar Series. And so the JHED crew, a healthy contingent here, and a lot of drivers in the open wheel ranks as well. That's a decent start for Liam, his first full season karting, and he's 3rd of the group at their home race. But now the fast group, you can see the engines are fired, the smoke beginning to billow outside of the grid fence. Final few cars will head towards the scale line. When they do, you'll see the grid marshal there standing in front and give the command to let them loose. And it looks like at any moment we could. There it is. Win Godshock will be one of the first ones out alongside Leo Simone. And the whole pack will ride with them out of the grid and into, I guess we can call it turn number 3, and then this being turn number 4 off the start. But if you go off the finish line again, that would be turn 2 and then over to turn number 3. A little bit out of shape there to get down to turn 4. Similar to what we saw in the warm-up. So I think the cooler conditions, again, are just really starting to see the lap time shine. It was hot and humid yesterday. It was the same on Thursday. Of course, we did get that the showers. They had been threatening all week long, and we really didn't have anything up until Friday afternoon. But it doesn't seem to have removed much grip from the racetrack, and the cooler temps of the morning have these air-cooled motors especially singing with the Micro Swifts, Mini Swifts, and KA Juniors. I think that's why we're seeing the time start to drop. But a 78.36, Lincoln Wiley, time to beat. Already Leo Simone's driving away a little bit from the group here.
Yeah, building a small buffer over everybody else, but not too concerned quite yet. It's just going to be the matter, in my opinion, on how do you get lined up in the midst of this pack right now. Who do you have and you're most comfortable working with in this respective group to be able to find the best possible times? And that's the question mark that seems to be for every single session so far. But it's going to be interesting where these drivers all shuffle out, especially knowing where a lot of the fast drivers are going to be more so deeper in this pack to begin this run, where they're going to be further on back in the queue compared to some of the others right now. So, see where they all sort themselves out here at this point. Here we going. Right now, it's going to be interesting to see where these first times for this group now go. Remember the benchmark, 118.3. Cooler temperatures. It's going to be a challenge for some of these teams to make sure on the grid that they've got the right adjustments in their carts for the tire pressures compared to the hotter conditions, which can really impact how those tires hit the racetrack and put time down. This circuit going to be a lot more cooler and a lot more faster speeds compared to yesterday, as touched upon.
I think so. And as well, too, when the rubber cools, all the grip that's been laid down, the Rhino liner that you'll see some of those black patches at the middle apex, that is super, super grippy at the 50 to 70 degree air temp, surface temps below the 100 mark. But when they get above the triple digits, that stuff becomes a little bit greasy, a little slippery. So right now, it probably feels like you can take your go-kart almost anywhere on the circuit and be able to roll a ton of speed. And we're seeing that already with Slade Harrell's 77-67 now, quickly bumping back Liam Astalis, Grayson Knifick, and the fastest from that first group, Lincoln Wiley. Only one lap in for the second group, and they've already pushed Lincoln down to 9th. Now they seem pretty well sorted. Let's see what they look like when they hit the loop this time by. You can see the 221 as Zev Godshock leading the pack out here in micro. So if my mistake again, Win older brother in mini. Zev, young man here on the, I believe started the year at either 7 or 6 years old. One of the youngest drivers of the age bracket altogether for micro that goes up to 10 years old if you want. And he's going to make a strategic move there on the backstretch and fade back further into line for the final lap. Harrell is 5th in line in the red and black. This lap, he kind of got tripped up coming to the line. That'll hurt him, and now he got tripped up through turns 1 and 2. He'll back off from Zev, but this may only be 3 laps that they're able to get in before qualifying ends. So now with Brody Stoffel and Leo Simone going to the top and getting a good launch to start their final lap, how much does that hurt the 288? And how much of a gap could the 229 and 213 put on the field? Because there are packs like this one further back with Aiden Go and Lennox Lockhart and crew that might also be tracking for an improvement on lap number 3.
I think for Godshock, though, it was a bit more of a strategic play, knowing that the Jay Howard development drivers had a lot of speed grouped together, all 3 teammates trying to work as a unit. And at this point, Godshock, you can see it right there, it's just trying to fall behind them, try and stay wheel to wheel, let those drivers pull him to be able to set it fast.
A bit of luck there to only drop to 6th as that second pack was not quick enough. But a big-time lap out of Zev Godshock puts him on top here for qualifying in Micro Swift. Mason Brody, Brody Stoffel, Leo Simone, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and now we get set for Pro Shifter. 2 groups again split up based off of happy hour. Danny Formal and Adrian Reneden top of the overall. They'll be the first to lead onto the racetrack in their respective divisions. Adrian, being in the odd-numbered group, I believe will be going out 2nd. Danny will go out 1st. And then it'll be the top 6 from either group or from both groups that'll combine for Super Pole. They'll have to quickly roll through the scales as only Master Shifter qualifying will be the split. So this will be a very, very crucial and session when it comes to the championship. We have a lot to break down on that. There are so many drivers that are still in contention for a massive prize, both in the overall title fight and the fight to get into the Circle of Champions Fund inside the top 10. Pro Shifter, 42 drivers. It will be the toughest ask to get to Super Pole alone that we have seen since the introduction of the format in 2024. Only the best 12 will make it to fight for pole. This session will be a bit of management, trying to figure out if the lap that you hit early is good enough that you could pull in and maybe save 1 less lap on the tires and buy yourself an extra 2 minutes to get them cooling back down before Super Pole qualifying kicks off. And that, again, is an extra benefit of just the way that the positions fall going to the even-numbered group. But Billy Musgrave, Not so great on Friday happy hour. He's buried a bit back. We'll see what he does to reset his gap. He enters this weekend 19 points out of the championship lead to one of the youngest drivers in the class, and the first time that a Kiwi has ever led the SKUSA Pro Tour Pro Shifter Championship standings. Jay Irwin for PSL Karting, his second full SKUSA Pro Tour campaign. If you ask him, this is year number 3, but he's still a teenager, 16 years old over the wily veteran Billy Musgrave at 33. Josh Conker, the round 2 winner with a massive performance in Cincinnati, jumped up to 3rd in the championship standings. AJ Myers entered last year in a head-to-head fight with the man right behind him in the points right now, Mateus Morgado. They always seem to be finding each other on the racetrack and in the points, and they're separated by 1 coming into the finale weekend. Kyle Wick and Gavin Bailiff tied back for 6th, 149 back. They have an outside shot to play spoiler to the top 5 with 400-plus points up for grabs on a race weekend. Then Charlie Steins and on back to Justin White and Adrian Reneden. And those drivers, again, are only above the cut line of the top 10 by a fraction. Quarantine Russo for the Catalyst Driver Development at Talcart crew, he enters this weekend 11th after a post-technical inspection DQ following the round 2 main event. Had that DQ not occurred and he would have been credited with 2nd in the championship, well, second in the main event, he would have been, I believe, 7th and in contention for the title. Instead, he's outside looking in at the Circle of Champions here, entering the season finale. But a lot of points are up for grabs, and there's a lot more to break down. Caleb, what do you have for us here on the outlap?
Thank you, Xander. Spoke a little bit to Billy Musgrave. He's debuting a new chassis, the BM2, a prototype that he's trying out this weekend, a softer chassis, so he's hoping it works around Newcastle Motorsports Park this weekend.
There you go. This is a big story. The factory karts, this is their first weekend with a 2.0 frame for all drivers under the camp. That'll be a big, big learning process here that they'll have to figure out. So this is, again, the even-numbered group from practice. 2nd, 4th, 6th on back. Ian Quinn was very impressive, and to go 2nd, or to go 4th overall, hot off a podium at the Stars Quaker City round. I'm sure that helps him have a bit of confidence going into the weekend. And Danny Formal himself, this place has never been that good to him when you look at his track record here. But to be as fast as he was yesterday, the big guy punching a big hole in the air at a 1.1 mile circuit, he's got to have a rocket ship strapped to that thing. And the Swede Tech KZ for GFC headed down to complete lap number 2. He'll have the option for a 3rd and maybe a 4th if he wants it. Right now, outside the cut line, though.
Yes, so far he's been looking pretty impressive on the day, but that is going to be a major difference maker. Is can he keep himself above that cut? Right now, the answer is he's the benchmark. Also, take a look who's also trying to battle on the cut line, curling around the 8th, 9th position. Dalton Hayes making a Pro Shifter debut. Just got shuffled all the way down the order, however. So we are talking about some of the drivers making some opportunities here and some appearances here to see can they upset to get the top 6. There is one driver you have to go through here at this racetrack in general, though. AJ Myers. Here's where
and he's only barely above the line right now, Justin, at the end of lap number 2.
Yeah.
Couple hundreds up on Gavin Bailiff. It's Kyle Wick who's fastest currently. 65.35. Aiden Rudolph, very impressive on the CRG. He's right behind Gavin Bailiff, who is outside looking in. Let's see if he tries to pass him. Not yet there in I-70, but the current driver in 2nd in the group. A little bit safe right now. Let's see. Big tuck down the straight. Bailiff wants a push. We'll wait to see as they finish the lap out, and they'll get another if they want it. No changes that time by. Does anyone bail for pit lane as well? Rudolph's time still pretty good. Bailiff outside of the Super Pole transfer into the pit lane for Conker, for Myers, and for what looked to be up ahead, potentially Kyle Wick. Brent Cruz up the road, still going to try and go forward. Bailiff's still going. Musgrave is also, again, outside the cut to go to Super Pole. Jacob Gulick, Danny Formal, Kyle Wick All 3 GFCs in the top 6. The qualifying sessions have not been kind to them. This one may be, as another one heads for pit lane, and it is Musgrave. It'll be at best a 14th starting spot in the heats today. This is massive. Can Gavin Bailiff upset AJ Myers and put himself in a much better spot to fight for the championship? You just got to pick up 800s. Let's see it. Final time down this long straight here to the checkered flag.
Tries to stay aerodynamic a little bit down the straightaway. Don't know if he got any draft though. No change. Bailiff didn't get the improvement he was looking for to be able to try and bump up. Wick, Rudolph, Formel, Conker, Gulick, and Myers appear to be that top 6 right now, pending any changes.
And Bailiff knows it as well. You saw him shaking his head there. Gavin Bailiff will not transfer to Superpole. Neither will Billy Musgrave. Neither will Jacob Gulick, as Vincenzo Saraceno is now showing as a time that bumped him into the top. Actually, with the updates, Gulick bumped out. Bailiff's last lap, 600 shy. Gavin Bailiff out, Musgrave out, Gulick out, and Ian Quinn, after the great practice, out as well from Superpole. They will not move on. It will be AJ Myers, Josh Conker, and a very impressive Vincenzo Saraceno to punch their way into the final qualifying session. Who will join them? Let's look at the 6 from this group here. Adrian Reneden, first one out.
And we know Reneden has some decent pace right now amongst these competitors in this field. Now it's going to be questions on where will things really shuffle. But we also know that this pack going to have drivers like Jay Irwin, who has a chance to work right now with some of his teammates here, and many of the others that are going to be looking to try to improve and get themselves into that Superpole qualifying. Right now, we've already made it pretty clear that you want to have some draft. You want to be able to get some pole right now in this class, especially for the long straightaway towards the final corner if you want a true setup for a good lap.
Mateus Morgado, Jay Irwin, and you mentioned teammates. The Italkart chassis is manufactured out of the Birolart factory. They usually share a lot of intel, and sometimes they'll have drivers back and forth to both. Russo competes in the KZ2 championship in Europe with the Birolart and Charles Leclerc teams. But here, driving for the Catalyst Driver Development Group, the team co-owned by Pro X30 and former Super Nationals podium finisher in Pro Shifter, Remo Ruscetti. And Quarantine led 23 of the 25 laps in Cincinnati's main event. He was so good all the way to the end, just missed a little bit. This weekend, again, he needs to get himself a good result to help the CDD camp get a funded seat into 2026. That Circle of Champions fund is huge for all of these race teams, especially one driving all the way from the Pacific Northwest to the Midwest and the Deep South in Houston for the SKUSA Pro Tour. Time continuing to roll on here for the first group. First times coming in. Big lap out of Russo, a slow lap still getting up to speed for Adrian Reneden. That'll bump him down as Michael Avancino, Mateus Morgado, Charlie Steins, Andrew Boydishow, the list goes on, punching in their first times now.
Irwin didn't put up the first lap though, 1 second off the top times right now, and he's basically on his own now as he's lost touch to those he was trying to work with. So is that a sign of things not going great to start off the session for Irwin on speed? Or is it Irwin trying to back up a little bit, see if he can find some better speed on his own and get into a rhythm? That's the huge question. And we know Jay Irwin usually is pretty fast around these tracks. We mentioned the championship implications was amongst those drivers that had speed in terms of consistency all season long.
3.5 minutes still going. This will be another lap if anyone wants it. Russo to the top, 65.21. That's big. Morgado still well safe above the cut line. Reneden as well. Irwin there. Now bumps to 5th as a big lap is thrown down by Hunter Pickett in the number 7. He'll jump up to 3rd. Jacob Gulick didn't get to join. Kyle Wick and Danny Formal transferring out of the even-numbered group. Can Hunter Pickett, the number 7 plate from last year, one of the many elder statesmen in the division, move his way into Super Pole? Reneden, Irwin, Avancino now on the bubble, outside looking in. Boydeshow, Charlie Steins, Gage Korn, and Aiden Fox. But out of this group here, the 2 major championship contenders, Jay Irwin and Mateus Morgado, both look like they're punching their way through if they can get another good lap here, because they're above the cut line, but they're only above by a 1/10 to Andrew Boydeshow. There's a look at the one of the Magics, Boydeshow himself, and Pickett there in the 7. They're going to hit the line this time right around the checkers. Let's see where it goes. 65.16 for Reneden. He'll safely go through with that. Morgado improves majorly as well. Avancino with a big lap to 4th. Boydeshow moves up. Irwin gets bumped out. Jay Irwin, the points leader, shuffled now outside the top 6 in qualifying. He's still digging though. This lap will be his last try. He needs to find a 10th and a quarter to push Hunter Pickett outside the drop zone, and it is 5 minutes elapsed now. So this 4th lap, this is where it'll all come down to the young Kiwi. 19 points, the championship lead, with Bailiff and Musgrave missing out on Super Pole. This is a big opportunity to put himself rows above the next closest in the championship to the shark fin here for the final time.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's extra urgency being sent here in terms of Irwin's lap time right now. Seeing if he's trying to send it a little bit deeper. Seems like he's got some extra little bit of boost right now. Pickett is still on a lap as well, keep in mind. So it could go either way. Looks like Irwin does improve by a couple 100ths there to get within 3/10 of the pole.
Pickett does not. Hunter Pickett, last lap, not enough. 65.83. He'll miss out by half a 10th. And on the final lap, with the pressure on, Jay Irwin jumps to 5th. He will make the transfer and go to Super Pole. He pushes out the GFC number 7 of Hunter Pickett. Charlie Steins next out, along with Eli Fox. Rookie Gage Korn, 10th in the group. But Adrian Reneden, Corentin Russo, Mateus Morgado, Michael Avancino, Jay Irwin, and Wild Thing Andrew Boydeshow will all make it to Super Pole qualifying. What a heart-stopper moment there for Jay Irwin's cheering section, being on the outside looking in up until the checkered flag flies and he punches in a lap to just barely get above the zone. So Master Shifter qualifying on deck. Pro Shifter drivers working their way through the scale line with a lot to break down. Gavin Bailiff, Billy Musgrave don't transfer. AJ Myers, Mateus Morgado, Jay Irwin. The other 3 of the top 5 in the points, separated by 72. Well, they will, and they'll get a chance to fight for the overall pole. 14 drivers here on the lineup for Shifter Master. Biggest grid of the year, 7 machine. That is none other than Kishna Bat on the TB kart out of Michigan, I believe. Skitchy Barnes, the reigning champ, enters this weekend at a bit of a deficit trying to fight his way to the title. Robert Fees, Jordan Musser, Scott Presti, Tim Hollowell and crew, along with many, many more. Here we go, back down to pit lane. Jay Irwin's got to quickly roll the scales and get ready for Super Pole. Caleb Vieska's down with one of those members following along with him.
Thank you there, Xander. Mr. Irwin, talk about emotion from the fence line, first of all, throughout that qualifying session, right? It was pretty close for him to make it into the Super Pole.
Yeah, it was. Like, Newcastle's a tricky track, and so many people have done so many laps around here. It was always going to be tight in times and a bit of experience. And sitting there on the outside looking in with a lap to go, you're like, whoa, this is pretty tricky. And sure enough, he found a bit of time on the last lap. We'll try and learn from that for the heats, but this championship's hard. There's really good drivers, and it's really close.
Let's talk about the championship a little bit, right? You talk about all the travel you guys have done over from New Zealand. At the end of the weekend, how does it feel, being in contention for his first major U.S. national title here this weekend?
It feels really good. It feels like this has arrived soon. Like 2 years ago, we were here, just couldn't get our head around how fast everybody was, and you sort of look at the size of the mountain you got to climb, and you're like, man, I don't know how we're going to do this. And you chip away, and we had a conversation last year where Jay was he was really fast, but we were kind of inconsistent. And we talked about, you know, I was in a hotel room one night after a bad result about what it takes to be a championship driver. And I think you don't win championships on your good days, you win them on your bad days. So if you can minimize those disaster days and a bad day's a fourth or a fifth, like, I think that goes a long way. But at the end of the day, you got to be fast, you got to win. And I think somebody who's going to go out and win this is going to take it. So it's going to take more than consistency to win this and a bit of speed, but, you know, we got to keep pushing all the way to the end.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Jay Irwin and Mateus Morgado for PSL Karting. They are hunting for that program's first pole award at the Summer Nationals since 2022. The last 2 years they've been shut out. You have to go back to Marian Kremer's initial dominant season. Now, that said, they are also on a 3-in-a-row streak in the championships. 2 back-to-back with Marian Kremer's, and last year with the Brazilian Mateus Morgado. So with 2 real opportunities to keep the PSL brand on top, and 3 Birol Art entries with Gavin Bailiff, they've still got pretty good odds and the current points lead to try and make 4 championships in a row in a class that has only exponentially grown in competition year over year. You could say the same here for Shifter Masters. This is a much bigger grid than they've had in years past that have run the full season. And it's Scott Presti this time by going quickest. But cool to hear a lot of that insight there from Jay Irwin's father. And again, talking about the level that all these drivers are at. It's just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was really impressed in those thoughts by what he mentioned in terms of the grind that you have to have just to be able to succeed here. It takes a lot of chipping away. It takes a lot of precision. It takes a lot of practice. There's plenty of sessions all throughout the weekend in the first place because you have to make sure your car is up to the right spec if you want to be able to compete. And for a lot of these teams, it's quite simple. Can you get every little bit out of this cart to be able to find yourself at the top step of the podium? And for teams like PSL Karting, it's the chance for opportunities to grow and be able to build upon what's been a very successful past few years for them if they're able to keep on going. Now, speaking of the Master Shifter side of things right now, Jordan Musser still up at the top of the board right now. Scott Presti still trying to trade times with him, though, back and forth with only about less than a minute to go.
Yeah, only 100th different there as Larry Pegram shuffles by the TB cart of Bat, and that will change things for them as well on this lap of what they can put in. But while Superpole is getting ready to go for Pro Shifter down on the grid, Caleb Vieska has Billy Musgrave. Caleb.
Yeah, thank you, Xander. Saying bye with Billy Musgrave. Billy, you're in the championship fight, but to start off qualifying, it seems like you're a little bit far away from it.
Yeah, I mean, we came into this weekend, you know, basically just got our first car built off the new jig last week, so we had about 30 laps on it. Just able to shake it down, come into this weekend. I mean, you know, on paper, we checked all our boxes and knew what this track usually ends up like by the time Saturday and Sunday rolls around. So, you know, we came with something a little bit softer, a little bit different on the tubing. And yeah, right now, I mean, yesterday was kind of wild. I mean, everybody's saying, you know, how crazy the track is, how much grip it's got. So, yeah, this morning, you know, it's also got a lot of grip. But that session was honestly the first session I felt the most comfortable in the car. I could actually push it, hit my marks. Everything kind of went according to plan. Yeah, we're a couple tenths off, but I think we're in a really good spot when the racing's going to come around and when this track's going to start getting baked by the sun and going to start getting slimy and oily. I think that's, you know, kind of what we're shooting for. So, yeah, we'll see if everything goes according to our plan. But right now, I'm still looking pretty confident.
Yeah, kind of looking up at the sky, right? Seems like maybe at some point today there's going to be a wrench thrown at things. I don't want to say the word, right? But you guys think you can fight in the rain with that new chassis as well?
Yeah, I mean, if it does come down, I think it's going to be absolutely ridiculous how good this thing is in those conditions. And, you know, yeah, like the history of our car has always been, you know, it performs well when the grip comes down and the rubber, you know, is tacky enough to bend the tubes. But, you know, a lot of times this year with, you know, tires change, weathers change, tracks change, you know, we've been a little bit outside our window more often than not. So, you know, we're just kind of reevaluating where we're at. So we came into this with a different game plan. And like I said, you know, you can't be fast all the time. So I think knowing this track and what it is known to do throughout the weekend, especially when 300 carts start putting rubber on, I think we're going to be looking a lot better the more time that goes on.
Best of luck, Billy.
Thank you.
Billy Musgrave does have experience here on a layout like this one, just the opposite direction in those wet conditions. He finished second to A.J. Myers and ahead of teammate at the time, Josh Conker, here a year ago when the Stars Series visited. But for the SKUSA Pro Tour, the level this weekend, it is, again, only beaten by the Super Nationals. It is incredible, the caliber of this field. And now, Super Pole qualifying is getting set to go green. The final few touches are being set on the grid. We'll figure out who gets the top starting spot in Pro Shifter, presented by PSL Karting, when we return.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix. James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars.
On track or off, Brandon Jarsekrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsekrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsekrakRacing.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Side-by-side contact. They're in the mirrors. They're both in the wall. Daniel Vasile will win Pro Shifter. Unbelievable turn of events. And Italian Motors wins again.
But the heartbreak and the emotion, so close.
Everybody knows the Super Nationals. Everybody's watching it.
Okay, I mean, Vegas is Vegas. You want to win this. This is our Indy 500. This is our big one.
Welcome to Super Sunday.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin.
Here's a live look over in the scale house and post-session tech inspection here following qualifying. You can see that some of the Pro Shifter drivers are still over in the scale house waiting for final confirmation of whether or not they will be moving on to Super Pole. They have a brief run through the tech line from stage 1 of qualifying before then they're cleared to go to the grid for the top 12 run. So this jam up here and what they're going over is also, again, the only opportunity for them to adjust tire pressure. It's the only adjustment they're allowed to make back and forth following stage 1 over to stage number 2. You can see there the mechanic working on Mateus Morgado's kart with an air gun to add some air pressure because they had 4 laps in stage 1, Justin. They only get 2 here in Super Pole. And again, really, it's all going to come down to that second lap from what we've learned. Most of the drivers, like Adrian Reneden, usually will opt for 2 kind of build-up laps. The out lap and then still another one, maybe 70 or 80% before they go full bore. So, well, we'll quit the speculation here. We'll head down for an update as Super Pole now looks like is beginning to grid up. Caleb.
There's Andrew. Just spoke to Neil Strickland here, and they're saying that they were just doing some standard procedure, limited space in the scale house, trying to get all 12 drivers in and teched, but everything continuing as normal. Quick little updates as well. You saw Dominic, team owner for PSL Karting. They were running over there with to add air into the tires, and they believe that Jay Irwin, Mateus Morgado, a little bit too low on pressures, wanted to pump them up a little bit. We'll see how they get going here in Super Bowl qualifying.
Yeah, exactly, Caleb. We were able to capture that as well. A great note there that, again, the benefit for PSL with where they're located, they're not too far to head on over with just a portable air compressor gun to add a little bit of air. With half the distance that they were allotted for stage 1 of qualifying being the distance for stage 2, and now you're going on scuffs. You're not going on a sticker set of Avinco Reds. You're going on their second heat cycle. So they're going to gap the drivers out equally and on a 1.1 mile track. That'll be some pretty big gaps, so they shouldn't hit any traffic like they run the risk of in stage 1. And they'll be released in the order that they punch their ticket through to Super Pole. So if we go back to the results from the initial qualifying sessions for each side of the grid, that'll tell you how they will line up for this session. 12 drivers, again, get to go forward to Super Pole from qualifying in the odd group or the even group. From the even group, your 6 drivers that'll be making up the field. Kyle Wick will be one of the first ones released. Then Aiden Rudolph, Danny Formal, Vincenzo Saraceno, Josh Conker, and AJ Myers, who sat on the pole here before, the winningest driver when it comes to pro shifter drivers and the gearbox categories at Newcastle Motorsports Park, was the last one to make it out of Group 1. But all 6 drivers opted to pull in 1 lap early and only run 3 laps. And when you look at Group 2, a little bit different. The odd-numbered group, Jay Irwin had to stay on the racetrack to put a 4th lap in to transfer. Michael Avancino, the same. 3 laps, though, for Andrew Boydeshow, who was the last one in. Hunter Pickett, 2018 Summer Nationals Pro Shifter winner, first man out. And then Morgado, Corentin Russo, and Adrian Renadin, the top 3 from the pole group. They'll be 1st, 3rd, and 5th released onto the racetrack. So as they get ready, we will as well.
Up into 2 stages, and in stage 1 the field is split into 2 groups. The top 6 fastest drivers from each group will advance to stage 2, the SKUSA Super Pole. These 12 drivers will have only 2 laps to set the fastest time to sort themselves in the top 12 starting position. Let's find out who's the fastest driver in the world.
We talk about the Championship 5 with only 72 points separated between 5th place in the standings coming into the weekend here, Mateus Morgado and points leader Jay Irwin. But by the math, with how many points are up for grabs, 200 on back for the main event win, 100 for the pre-final on Saturday or Sunday morning, 50 apiece for the heats today, and 10 points for the fastest lap in the main. There's a 10-point bonus in Super Pole qualifying. And when you look at the championship standings, by the math, 17 drivers enter the weekend with a mathematical shot at it. However, Vincenzo Saraceno punching his way through to Super Pole with an impressive lap for the Presti Racing Croc Promotion Machine is 413 points back. He will only stay within mathematical distance of the championship if he can surprise the field, get his first pole award on the SKUSA Pro Tour, and win out in Super Pole. Again, he's got a shot to do it. It's all level playing field, whether you transferred in 6th or transferred 1st in your group at this point. 2 laps, however they stack up, that'll line the first 6 rows of our heat race grids. If he doesn't, that'll knock it down to only 16 in mathematical contention for the championship. Gage Corrin, rookie, the current 2nd place driver in the Rookie of the Year standings, 16th in the championship. 1st in Rookie of the Year points, Aiden Rudolph, and the number 79, 14th. And he's also one of the transfers into Super Pole. It'll be his first career Super Pole appearance. And for CRG USA this year, a building year, a momentum year for Aiden Rudolph. And for Aiden, what an opportunity this is to try and cap off his rookie season with a chance to start on the pole. We have yet to see the Super Pole winner win out in the main event on Sunday. So any of these 12, even if they don't end up as the top qualifier, the odds are in their favor to end up as the one with the checkered flag in the final. But still, it's a whole lot easier to get to 1st if you start from 1st, Justin.
Absolutely. Track position is everything, at least to me. But for these drivers, they also know that if you want a shot to be able to try and control these races, if you want a shot to be able to come out in general, you need to at least be in those first couple rows or so, I think. Because it's so much harder to be one of those who have to say, go from a 28 to second like we've seen some people in our races do, or anything along those lines. Looks like these drivers, though, are almost set to get onto the racetrack. They're just about to get that clearance to be able to go. Here we go.
Adrian Reneden first off the pit lane, and he will lead out Corentin Russo and then Mateus Morgado. 2 laps at speed plus the out lap right here. Build some heat back into those scuffed tires. 2 laps for Super Pole qualifying to set your top 12 on the order. So here we are. The number 1 plate, Mateus Morgado. He was on pole here the last time he was in Indiana with a driver that is known, at least outwardly, off his own comments, not to be maybe the best in qualifying, but quick in his group, second of the odd-numbered happy hour drivers, has him third on the lineup as the final few are released. That's how big the gaps are. And again, Jay Irwin, one of the last ones to transfer with still more to go, including Andrew Boydeshow in the number 78. He'll be the last one released. So you can see how they are all evenly spread around the racetrack, almost perfectly done by Neil Strickland and the entire SuperKarts USA officiating team. So here we go. It'll be a full minute to close it out. Let's kick off lap number 1, riding around with the number 1 plate currently here. Last year's champion in his first season. It was a near-perfect 2024 year for Mateus Morgado. Won the Rock Winter Tour, won the SKUSA Winter Series, won the SKUSA Pro Tour, and from 11th on the grid at the SuperKarts USA Super Nationals, he charged and hunted down Marcus Kayak for the lead, and with just a couple of laps to go, the two collided, and what could have been a picture-perfect cap-off to a season with a Winter Championship, a Pro Tour Championship, and a Super Nationals win ended up in the wall for the pair, and Daniel Vasile picked up the pieces with a crossover move to win Super Nationals 28. Now, Morgado with a chance to try and rewrite the history books on his second try and be the first ever Winter Series, Pro Tour, and Super Nats champion in Pro Shifter. But we got problems. One driver off. Vincenzo Saraceno is out here in Super Pole qualifying. Problems for the Croc promotion. Presti Racing driver, no good here to kick off this session. That is horrible news here for Vincenzo. So no laps scored for him, as now times begin to populate. Morgado's first lap, a 66.196. Corentin Russo, he'll go second initially. Looking further on now as the back of the 12 begin to put their first laps in. Reneden's going to drop all the way to the bottom here with a slow out lap. Jay Irwin following the end of his first lap, conquered a third.
Very tough break for Saraceno, to say the very least. AJ Myers picking up the tempo after struggling in the session, able to jump up to third for the time being. Now it's the question, can they power it on down on their own for a flyer? And we know the Magic Man is able to put together some truly brilliant drives.
We're coming to the line. Last lap's in. Russo, Reneden, and Morgado. Morgado will not take it. He'll go third. Corentin Russo to the top, 65.42. Adrian Reneden, half a tenth back. Big lap out of Michael Avancino. He'll jump to fourth. Danny Formal still has yet to hit the loop. There goes Aiden Rudolph around the final turn. Let's see what the CRG driver can do. He'll punch his ticket above a couple. He'll go fifth, just behind the Ron White Racing CRG. Formal can only go to fourth. We're following AJ. Let's see, can the number 3 plate, a pole award winner here in the past, a multiple-time Summer Nationals main event winner, and a driver trying to get some redemption from this place a year ago. Can he go to the pole on his final lap by? No! Third for Myers. Still more to go, though. Jay Irwin yet to get to the line. Boydeshow the same. Irwin to 7th. And to the line, Andrew Boydeshow, final lap by. Final man to try and knock off Russo. Not going to happen. Corentin Russo Pole Award winner in Super Pole for PSL Karting Pro Shifter, Adrian Reneden, an all-international front row. AJ Myers third. Mateus Morgado will end in fourth. It'll be Danny Formal fifth. Michael Avancino. Andrew Boydeshow to seventh in his first Super Pole appearance. His return to the SKUSA Pro Tour in multiple years. Jay Irwin, the points leader, down in eighth. Aiden Rudolph ninth. Josh Concord 10th. Kyle Wick 11th with an issue, it appears, maybe on that final lap around. And Vincenzo Saraceno, what a heartbreaker. First Super Bowl appearance. He doesn't even get to have a part in it here, Justin. No times turned.
Absolute heartbreaker, absolutely. And it's going to hurt in the track position game. And that takes him basically into that conversation that we're talking about for the championship side of things. Goes on up for the top 10. But now, field's all set to go. And it's going to be Russo who gets to celebrate, already getting congratulations from the crew as they get that kart back to its lane.
Yeah, lots of celebrations here for the Catalyst driver development team. What an effort it is just for them to be able to make it to the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour season. And in their first year running the full calendar after the heartbreak in Cincinnati and dominating that main, Corentin Russo, Super Pole winner. He'll get to lead us to green for both heat races today with a flyer by half a hundredth over Adrian Reneden and the Velocity Racing Sodi Kart crew. What a performance there. Again, great for Reneden as well. This track, his first visit to it a month ago. He won. He's won 2 of the last shifter starts he's had. And now we head down to pit lane with Caleb and our Super Pole Award winner.
Yeah, thank you, Xander. Quarantine, talk about that qualifying session, right? To my knowledge, I think your first time here at Newcastle. How is it out there?
Yeah, I'm first time in Newcastle. I'm taking the pole position. I'm so happy. Great lap, and with the long straight, it's very difficult because you lose too much with no bread, and now we will see it.
Yeah, I want to think long run, right? Bigger picture here. Obviously going for a race win. It was close in Cincinnati. What do you need to do this weekend to capitalize?
No, I just want to win all, and we will see.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Karts on the circuit for KA100 Senior, presented by Nash Motorsports. James Overbeck, Finnegan Bailiff, Henry Wheeler, the top 3 in the title fight, all back again for 2025. 48 drivers in total, lined up and ready for action. This is the bottom 24 from Happy Hour. Dallas Dunlap right there on the lime green TB kart, going to go by one of the Nash Motorsports entries at the end of the long straight. Up the road a little bit is one of the JHCD drivers, is Freddie Steemans. And they will slowly change there. That looks to be one of the Lemieux, either Antoine or Frederique Lemieux, right behind Dallas here on the first time by.
Yeah, so far, as the time starts to populate here, for Siemens putting up a 118. Start things off. I believe that Caleb is standing on by. He's with AJ Myers.
AJ, you were the highest finisher out of the drivers in the championship here this weekend. Talk about that qualifying session. I know you guys were kind of struggling a little bit throughout the day yesterday.
I mean, we were fast at times yesterday, and then I really just squeaked through that first qualifying in 6th place. It was really tight, got lucky there. And then that last run, I guess I ended up 3rd, which really recovered the first qualifying for me. I think race pace were good, maybe a tweak or two, but it'll be interesting how it races out. It's great to be ahead of everyone else in the championship, so that's great news.
You have a lot of success around this place, right? Needless to be said. But even then, this weekend's a little bit different, right? The layout's different. You know, the shark fin is something new that was added last year. How are you feeling with this different layout, this, I guess, different configuration that we're seeing this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's the national layout, but yeah, the shark fin this way, not my favorite corner, but I mean, everyone's doing the same thing. We'll see how it races, and it's fun to do something different.
Best of luck.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Magic Kart.
There you go. AJ Myers in a good mood. And again, fast. That'll do that for sure. He's, like Caleb mentioned, the highest starter of the top 5 in the championship fight for the heats later on today. As we're watching around, Federica Lemieux going back around Dallas Dunlap. First couple laps coming through here for KA100 Senior Qualifying. Chase Cassidy at lead. Double duty this weekend. 73-28 for him. 18 thousandths better than Wheeler in the 903. ZCD up to third. Mick Gabriel fourth on their first laps around.
Surprised to see Zach DeMello this far down in the running orders. We've seen him be very successful in the past in this type of racing in the KA100 seniors. So DeMello might be someone who might be a candidate, at least in my opinion, if he's able to put things together to be a charger here today. It depends, though, on how things really go in this session, especially knowing CCD's experience in real world as well when it comes to the IndyCar side of things as well.
Yeah, this group, having Chase Cassidy at Lee in it, having Henry Wheeler even in it. I mean, these are 3 drivers that probably, and indeed, as we find them now, waited, let the majority of the pack go by. They might lose 1 lap at the end of the session, but they know they're fast. They know the 2 around them are fast as well, and they're working together nicely. DeMello a couple cars back, Wheeler pushing Gassi at Lee. Their lap this time by, when they hit it, won't be maybe as good as the fast group will be, but it should still be solid as we watch them head down the short chute now.
I did get the chance to actually talk with Gassi at Lee about everything yesterday, and he had mentioned he was searching for grip to figure out what was too much grip, what was too little on the kart. But the main thing he said, he felt like he's had bad luck hit after bad luck hit. And basically that means every time they've had something going together, they've usually had a bad luck streak. So they know it's draft heavy here today. For Gassi at Lee, still the top 5 as you see some of the other trains still leading with Gassi at Lee. Amongst those on the racetrack trying to keep ahead of the 903 here with about a minute to work with in this session.
ZCD now ahead of Henry Wheeler. Chase Gassi at Lee just up the road by a car length and a half. Let's watch them down now into the last turn before the loop. They'll hit the line, checkers in the air, and will it be enough to go for the next group? Let's keep an eye on it all as they work their way into the scale house now. So checkers in the air for Nash Motorsports, K100 Senior, ZCD, 71-87, Connor Ferris, Chase Gassi at Lee, Henry Wheeler, Mick Gabriel, Ibrahim Din into 6th, Lucas Zabo 7th, Carson Sauter 8th, Christian Velez 9th, Freddie Siemens 10th at the end of the session. So the benchmark set here, 71-87, and the good news for all 3 of them is at least for DeMello, trailing behind Wheeler and Gassi at Lee. That was a big toe lap here on the final time by, passing Wheeler to do it. It hurt Henry's last lap. He didn't really get much out of it, but DeMello gets a big boost there, moving now 2/10 clear of Connor Ferris and a little further even up the road from Chase Gassi at Lee. But the fast group's been released, and just like that, qualifying rolls on now as they exit the cell tower.
Yeah, this fast group going to feature big names, obviously, like Overbeck and some of the others, as we touched upon. I think for a lot of these drivers in this pack, it's going to be about the execution here. A lot of these drivers still haven't figured out where they want to be in line, though. A lot of leapfrog attempts and a lot of passing already for some of these drivers. They're battling like it's a race right now rather than a qualifying session with the way some of these drivers are still trying to sort out, do they want to lead the pack? Do they want to be in the middle of it? Do they want to try and get a couple cars forward? There's so many question marks in this grouping right now. We'll see where these times now settle on in this time by. And we're off the first time through. The 921 machine amongst those. Going for some cuts along the inside. Diego Ramos. Again, someone who's been fast all season. James Overbeck on his own. Some of the others still getting their elbows out. Overbeck, it's going to be about just executing on his own, be able to qualify in front. Well, Ramos has showcased the speed so far in this qualifying session. Ramos has already pulled away 6-7 kart lengths from the group he was with this past lap and a half alone.
Yeah, Diego Ramos carving it up. Ruben Moya with a move there right in front of us. Oliver Hodgson leading one of his proteges around in the Comp Kart colors. Nice and easy to pick out. All still, again, just trying to set yourselves up for a really good lap here when they hit the loop this time. More or less, they'll have about 4 laps if they want it. 3 for sure, depending on how they sort themselves. Up and over the curbing on the last turn there for Ruben Moya, trying to stay nice and close as they hit the line. First lap's coming on in now at the end. So Hodgson there in the 928. Cooper O'Clair right behind him in the 948. Little gap back. That looks to be maybe Raheem Alibi. Quentin Angeli in the Rocket Racing Company LN Kart.
Yeah, right now looking like this field ready to roll for their top times here with the way things are shuffling out at this point. So we'll see how this plays out for these drivers here as ZCD still walks at the top. That came from a 3rd lap time around, mind you. A lot of the other drivers set their fastest times in the 2nd lap who are inside that top 10. Ramos currently is in 8th position on the pylon. James Overbeck is 12th from the first time around. So it's also a question too, track temperature is going to start to pick up a little bit because of the sun really starting to come out. That'll be a question mark as the rest of the session now rolls on through, but it's going to be Ramos who does now take the time at the top of the board. Dominic Bonilla instead now shuffles to the top. A lot of times being changed here.
James Overbeck's all by himself. No toe in sight. Same for Ramos as well, but this lap needs to be much better than the last. He's currently down in 11th. And what started off with a decent run at what he said was not one of his better racetracks at Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston, he looked then to a hopeful run at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati to elevate himself in the championship fight to try and defend the title from 2024. And this place was where he sealed it. He enters the weekend 153 back. When the drops get factored in, he'll close that gap down to only about 75 markers back. So the question now becomes, can James Overbeck on this last lap get at least a good spot to fight from for round number 5? Because he no longer, unlike a handful of drivers in the field, but really not too many, has a drop to burn. He needs to perform at both days. This lap will not be good enough. He'll drop further back. Ramos still holding at the top for now on that 3rd lap around for the 921 over local kid doing good. Eli Warren out of Louisville, Kentucky to the outside of the front row. Ruben Moya to 3rd, Massimino to 4th, Brandon Lemke, Donovan Bonilla, Oliver Hodgson, Colin Lloyd, Timothy Pernod, and Aiden Levy. Your top 10 provisionally here from KA100 Senior. What a run there for Diego Ramos. And there's a look in the scale line to PSL Karting's own Beryl Art driver as X30 Junior gets set to go from the grid. The Brazilian will get set to lead the field to green here in KA Senior. His first full run at the championship. He enters this weekend with a lot of hot and cold.
And Alexander Vanchev still is the one you have to drive on through in this class if you want to be able to win. But it is 45
Oh, what a
strong.
round. One of the Velocity Sodis is spun. to 7:08. I believe that may be Keely Sapirko.
Indeed it is. Got loose, it looks like a couple others coming out of the grass meanwhile. Some drivers mowing the grass and some clipping the edge of the curbing and bringing some dirt onto the racetrack there.
That is the 713, one of the Jay Howard entries, William Vitor, local Indiana native. As we follow David Ybarra on the CRG USA machine into I-70. 728 just going by as he drops in to find himself a tow down the long straight towards the last turn. So Ybarra will get a little bit of help as he goes right behind one of the many Rawls Performance Group entries. That looks like Peyton Anderson there aboard the RPG Cossack. Big moment for one of the Berry brothers, one of the GWR Gillards, all out of shape in the last turn to start lap number 1, still building up tire temp.
Yeah, 114.9s, 115s for some. Still going to be a little while, as you said, for the top times. But for the most part, these competitors showing how scrappy things could be here later on today. This field is not one where you want to be at the back of the field, to say the very least. If you're in the back in a 45-car grid, you're basically off in Narnia, trying to find your way in a journey to find your way to the front. It would have to have great execution in the pre-final to have any sort of shot for the final. So you have to be able to get at least a good baseline, a good positioning, even if you're in the slow group, if you want any sort of shot for this race later on today for the final.
First laps at speed here. Peyton Anderson at 72.207. Ybarra second. So those are the first two karts released and the first two that didn't make it out of happy hours. There's a big moment. The 797 with a wild run. That is Yukin Yao dropping the tire off at turn number 3. He's going to have company behind that will catch up as he tries to clean those Ivinco tires back off here on lap number 2. Working up to the third lap here, just behind Juan Jose Paramo and the Nash Motorsports entry he's running with. That is a 7.56 of Bristol Bournemouth.
We're just trying to keeping the patterns right now. And that's the main thing, not having any troubles in terms of the racing line. William Vitor, of course, someone who has had experience, mind you, at the Super Nationals. And has been somebody that's finished second in USPKS, Rotax, SKUSA competitions as well. So Vitor doing a good job in this session, at least with his baselines, put himself in a good spot for potentially when the fast cars hit the racetrack. Kyle Drysdale does jump to the top of the board for the time being, though. The speed's just picked up to near the 111 flats, 111.2s right now.
This lap will probably be the last, running in the 72nd bracket here for the entire X30 Junior field. As we follow Vitor around, remember he had that moment on the outlap on the JHGD Kart Republic. We'll wait for the 713 to see where he drops into on lap number 3, but his second lap still has him P2 overall at a 72.23, 1/100th off of Kyle Drysdale in the 750 for Rawlison Performance Group. 45 drivers in X30 Junior, a full house grid. They need as many tenths and thousandths as they can find to go as high as they can before the fast group rolls onto the circuit for qualifying. And out of the shark fin we go, up the run to I-70 and down the long straight for the pack ahead. Here's Vitor out of that corner as well. This will be it. Drysdale and Vitor holding the top spots. Yukin Yao with a big lap on lap 3. That'll be a major one to beat. That is a 70 flat, a 70.542, 4/10 clear of the field. After going off and pushing the limits on turn 3 a lap ago, he turns it around. Mateo Calderon joins him up there. Peyton Anderson to 3rd, Drysdale 4th, Brandon Ang to 5th at the end of the first group here from X30 Junior.
Yukin Yao, I think, has some good speed in the kart in general. Just with the fact that we've seen them jump up a lot, had been fast in the top 10, even with the mistakes beforehand. Now it's the question, where will the fast drivers now settle?
We'll be right back with the fast group for X30 Junior and more from Newcastle.
All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Junior.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy in 2024 for TV Kart.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moza equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Karts continue to zoom their way around the racetrack here, as now it's the fast group involving the X30 Juniors. Most of the performance group as we see where these X30s shuffle their way on the pylon. No Vanchev is going to be the one to have to beat when it comes to speed here in this session. Right now, Qualy working with Max Wellman, still making some adjustments on the kart as they try and see where these first times really settle on down. Those first times coming on through already the 720, top of the board.
Yeah, first lap around for Mad Max Weiland's a great one to kick things off as he runs right in the wake of Lucas Palacio, but even Palacio himself, not a bad opening lap to go to 14th on the initial run. Luca Popescu there with a decent start to his time. Going up to second at a 60.406. Brandon Ang back in fourth. Nate Golseth currently in the fifth spot. Travis Pettit, Tristan Murphy, Ashton Woon, Jeremy St. Cyr, and then Kyle Drysdale back behind there in 10th. Mateo Calderon in 11th from the first group. So the first group times third and fourth currently, but that will change with more when they hit the loop.
Yes, and right now we're seeing just how rapid Weiland's pace is for him to just close on up to the kart in front, no issue, make a pass point blank, and be able to make it smooth, to be able to get it done by the time they get to turn 16. That's kind of just showcases why he was the second fastest, if not the fastest, amongst the warm-ups earlier on today. Ashton Woon, though, in his respective pack, has been able to pick up the speed, though. Sarah Bradley just picked up some speed, though, to go to the top of the board. The 109.9s, and we know Bradley has some good qualifying speed from what we've seen throughout the season.
Yeah, Sarah Bradley looking good. Let's continue to watch them all down to the green corner here. A move there. Ashton Woon down the inside. That was on Nate Golseth in the Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart. And as they round out of that infield hairpin and head towards the shark fin, this time by, it'll be the third and probably final lap for the X30 juniors to the timing loop. Ashton Woon checks back. A little bit of space there, a little space to maybe get a little more down the straight as they follow Katowski with a shove from Popescu in the 719. Down the long straight here. 3 laps completed this time. Checkers in the air. Big lap out of Weiland. He'll go to the top. 69.900. And it'll be Sarah Bradley to second. Tristan Murphy up to third as they rocket past us there at turn number 3.
Not sure if I've seen the checker fly quite yet, but...
Yeah, I think they might get another.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's looking like that's going to be the case. Some of the drivers only finishing up their second lap times there officially on the board. Max Weiland, though, he is just a rocket ship here today for Magic. And we know that he is fast. He's been in the conversation for position battles throughout the season, even with the speed showcased by Vanchev in this class. So he's got the speed here today. Vanchev, meanwhile, has only gotten up to 9th. This has been not the greatest qualifying runs for your championship points leader.
Yeah, not ideal for Alexander Vanchev. Long run down the backstretch, motor at full song, starting to bounce the chip maybe for Weiland. Currently top of the pylon, and he should stay there. Another big lap out of Max. 69.82 opens the gap to 900ths and maybe more as the final few times come in. Let's see it. 4 laps for everyone else as well. No change. Max Weiland, fastest in X30 Junior Qualifying, to Sarah Bradley, who gets down to a 69.91. Tristan Murphy to third, Ashton Woon to fourth, and Luca Popescu into fifth on the RPG Cosmic. So a close pack, a 10th and a half through your entire top 5, and the 1 minute signal goes up on the grid there for Mini Swifts. 2 more classes still to roll.
Max Weiland's making it clear here today that he's not playing around. Yesterday when I spoke with him real quickly, he mentioned he knows that there's the challenges when it comes to trying to battle for a championship, especially with a rocket in front of him in the points. But plan was to take calculated risks to be able to make moves and try and win the title. So far, yeah, he's been able to make the right moves in qualifying at least to be able to power his way to the top of the board. Vanchev in 9th.
Yeah, that's a deep hole to climb out of, but still much better than 45th. A solid effort for the driver who leads the championship coming into Newcastle, Alexander Vanchev, but a great performance from Max Weiland. He'll lead us to green for the pre-finals later today. Mini Swift now rolling onto the circuit. Ages 8 to 12 years old, first of the 2 groups. 30 plus in total. And so this will be about 17 or 16 of them, I believe, onto the circuit here for qualifying the bottom half from Happy Hour.
Yeah, and so far we've seen your championship competitors work well. Very championship-like here in this class, but today, gonna see where some of these drivers really stack up right now. Joshua Wheeler amongst those on the screen, looking to get worked up in seeing where they're going to be able to go here. So we'll see what happens when it comes to this session for the grouping. Some of these drivers, like Wheeler, experienced in Rotax US West competition in terms of some of their appearances, and as well in the Pro Court Challenge making the way. Oh, some drivers having a squabble already.
Yeah, a bit of passing there in I-70 to kind of reset themselves. We'll see what that does here as they roll on by and head down the back straightaway. Big moment here driver spun around the 134 with a wild ride in Mini Swift qualifying. The DRT Racing entry spun around at the entry to the cell tower kind of bus stop area. That'll split all the packs up, and all the positioning you just did to try and put yourself in a good spot here goes to the side now.
Yeah, just like that. A lot of drivers having some issues here in this session here right now, but it's going to be the matter now of can they get regathered up, regain some momentum once again after some of the checkups there as a result of that spin situation so far. Drivers such as RJ Brown putting up the top opening warm-up laps on the racetrack, but we should see those first flyers come on through here now as you can see rapid pace for the start and finish line.
Yeah, so far so good as we now have them all rolling out of turn number 2 with 2 laps in the books. Colton Bruck to Simon Klein, Josh Wheeler, Dominic Vera, RJ Brown, Hudson Hidalgo, Ty Morwek, Lucas Tarango, Ruben Greer, and Lucas Bertagna. Of the 16 that have all turned laps here, was Brandon Shore that spun in the infield section here in front of us, as there's Lucas Tarango making a pass on the Ruthless Karting Nitro Kart, the black and orange. But Colton Bruck's 76.950 to Simon Klein in the 132. Josh Wheeler there third. Dominic Vera and RJ Brown, again, the top 5. And this majority group here is kind of all in about a 5-second run, so that timer will change quite a bit when they get back around to the timing loop as they head through the shark fin section and back out to the I-70 hairpin. I think this class, Mini Swift, Micro Swift, they should still be able to make some moves happen here in I-70 or some crossovers with the lower horsepower. I'm curious what it'll race like in some of the faster divisions, or maybe they're able to narrow the lineup, or the brake zone may not be as short for them. They've also got, again, the stickier tire, the Avinco Reds compared to the Avinco Blues here that are used for the minis and the micros. But another pass and another good lap for Lucas Tarango keeps him on top, maximizing the grip. 76.53, picked up about 4/10 there. And he's in another great spot, hunting down Dominic Vera and the Speed Concepts Racing number 148.
Yeah, Lucas Tarango, known for his speed on the West Coast, always known for being able to perform, call it some of the first races with Kart Chaser, in fact, with them, where he's able to pounce in RMC West competition. Now, seems to be settling himself in here today to be able to be in a good spot right now, but we've seen him start usually around the teens by the time things shuffle in the full order throughout the campaign historically here in some of the SKUSA races as of late. So we'll see where the time actually really settles on down. 1:16.5 is still a decent time for this session. Should see the checkered flag this time by for this field.
Yeah, this should be it here. 5 minutes have hit. I think we will see it indeed. And as they'll hit the loop this time, out of that last corner, checkers, yes. And a big change. Kai Park to second. Vera still third. Lucas Bertagna up to fourth. Morwek to fifth. Look how close it got there from third back to fifth there. Just a couple hundredths splitting them. Kai Park moves up to within 8 thousandths of Lucas Tarango. But that 76.5 from earlier, he backs that up on the third lap by just enough to top the boards here in Group 1.
Liking what I'm seeing with Tarango once again. And now it's going to be the question, who's going to go to the top here? We know the battle for the championship is going to be ever in the minds of these drivers, and those pole points are going to be pretty important, to say the very least, with those talks of the drop week here. Everybody going 3 wide, some people in the grass before they even got on the racetrack there. They're trying to rush out so quickly.
Yeah, everyone's quick to want to get ahead of most. They only want to stay behind maybe 1 or 2 karts. They don't want to stay behind 10 and definitely don't want to be 2 and 3 wide. So they're all fighting to get to second or third in the line and towards the front of the pack. And maybe for the lead of it, Macha and DeGennaro dive bomb and win Godshock in the cell tower. This looks like the start of a heat race here, Justin.
Yeah, a lot of argy-barginess right now in terms of drivers trying to sort themselves out here. But that's kind of the nature of the youth, it seems to be, where they want to battle, they want to pass, they want to try and get settled in quickly. They want to be able to control their own destinies. And a lot of those drivers getting really shuffled into line right there as they try and sort out where they are going to be here for when these first times start to really go here in this session.
Oh, big move down the inside. Aston Wyatt try to pass. He's going to now have Santi Orioli and maybe more lined up, looking to go by him there at the dogleg. Meanwhile, up the road here, the first two have gotten away pretty safe from the group. This is none other than one of the JHD machines there of, I believe, Nachawati. And then behind him, there is Jaden Francisco in the 136 championship leader coming into the weekend, but only by 5 with the drops factored over Enzo De Janeiro. It's still anyone's game in Mini Swift's championship, and Maxwell Macha is pushing second in the points right now, well away from all the chaos behind him. And to be fair, again, these three seem to be now starting to lock and load. Win Godshock there in the blue, white, and orange, and then behind him, Nachawati, and then Jaden Francisco, who is closing on in there in the 136.
And Jaden Francisco, a 10-race podium streak, mind you, coming into today per our statisticians. And Francisco, we know, is laser focused to be able to keep on driving the way he has been this season. Jaden Francisco, after all, been fast everywhere. He's been consistently in the conversation. He's been consistently there without any major mistakes. Jaden Francisco seems to be putting himself in a position to be able to try and do something here in this lineup. A bit of a checkup in the pack as Macha goes to top, Francisco goes to third.
Big move for that entire group, really, to close the gap up. Granted, Francisco again got a toe lap that time. They all need to stay lined up, Nachawati and Godshock, that is, and go faster this time for Jaden to continue to improve and keep even with Maxwell Macha and Enzo De Janeiro, two drivers that have been exceptional in qualifying over the summer stretch together since the two of them have been under the same camp. They have been rocket ships in the morning, and that's always a lot easier to stay up front when you start up front, when you go to later parts of the day with pre-finals and main events. 9.5 minutes total on this session. Up next, again, it will be Pro X30, and then qualifying will come to a head here from Newcastle for the SKUSA Pro Tour. And we'll switch quickly over to members only for the pre-finals and main events and Pro Shifter heat races. Out of I-70 this time, will they get 2 more or 1 more is the big question. There was a lot of chaos on the opening lap. So this is, again, as if it was an even break at the 10-minute mark for 5 minutes on their session. But again, they had an extra minute for that kind of in-lap from the first group, so there will be more time added on. Santi Orioli on the OKP Kart Republic now to the top. Godshock to second.
And don't count on Orioli, because Orioli, we've seen in parts of his campaigns in other series, has been at least a top 5 threat. Orioli quietly has some good runs overall when we've seen him perform. So it shouldn't be a surprise to see him at least up there in the OKP machine at the top of the board for the time being here in this session. But De Janeiro needs to pick up some tempo here in the Paralympic right now from 9th position. Needs to find something, anything, to be able to move up. Seems to be working off the back end of the cart in front of him, but isn't working right now. 4/10 back is not good enough. Your contenders for the championship are right now within 1/10 of that pole time.
Aston Wyatt, Lawrence Perriman now hooked up here. Orioli's behind them. This will be another big lap if Santi can continue to get the back draft effect from the pair to the line for lap 3. Does it go better at the checkers? It will not for Orioli. It will for Perriman and crew. They'll jump to 3rd with Lawrence, and Wyatt will go up to 6th. And now it's Orioli to win Godshock, Lawrence Perriman, Liam Nachawati, Jaden Francisco. Your top 5 here from Mini Swift Qualifying.
So down for Orioli, and this really will see your championship competitors for really the first time all season separated out here on the running order from each other. So we'll see how they're going to be able to go about themselves in regards to try and score some points as this day goes on here today and as the championship battle goes on. But only one more class to go, and it's going to be Pro X30 by Kart CRG USA. They'll hit the racetrack next, and they are on the circuit now. Touched upon the championship battles for them so far. So far, it's been the battle between Norbert versus Garrison. Remember, these drivers have 35 entrants here today, so about 17 on the racetrack here to see where they're going to settle on in. Caleb Viesca now standing on by. Let's go down trackside. Caleb.
Thank you there, Justin. A couple of notables here in the second group in the Pro X30 qualifying session. Caden McQueen, a new set of tubes for him here this morning. Said the chassis yesterday wasn't working the way they had intended it to, and today a new set of tubes. Hopefully he can get himself further up the field. A couple of others, Finnegan Bailiff, a mishap for him in the happy hour session. He started last in this qualifying session. We'll see where he can get himself to.
Thank you very much, Caleb. As we continue on here, some of the drivers still making some adjustments down the straightaway. As we see first these competitors make their way around the 95. That is going to be that time by Remo Rossetti. Resumes the way through. Rossetti should say. Resumes the way through. The rest of the field continues to settle on down here as the second group continues to roll.
Yeah, this is the back half from Pro X30 Happy Hour. Remo Ruschetti, Keegan Kaminsky, Henry Lepard, Naomi Garcia, Frankie Iadavea, and then we're following the young lady from Trinidad in the number 19 SCR Carlos Sainz entry here just ahead of Iadavea through the green corner, working through lap number 1 at speed. Iadavea trying to go by on the inside. He will. His first Pro X30 start. The young driver took a bit of a break from the karting scene, moving up through Mini and Junior, then had most of this year set for gearbox competition. It's made the switch over a couple weeks ago to the headline single speed category instead. Behind him and her, Caden McQueen, first X30 Pro start with his new home, Velocity Racing Sodi Kart. Yesterday, a big time struggle for the 42 to find some speed. Let's see how Qualy looks to start for McQueen. Not ideal on that first lap. He'll only go to 6th.
And as Caleb said, the new tubes is going to be something to keep an eye on to see if they're going to be able to help here for the case of McQueen. Right now, 7/10 back of the pole to start, but Keegan Kaminsky, that was a driver that was noted by one of our producers to keep an eye on because of their exploits in KA100 and their ability to drive in that respective class. Kaminsky looking pretty solid to start things off, though, in this session, top of the board in the first few minutes.
Yeah, 69-66 for Keegan. Here's McQueen now making a pass on Naomi Garcia. He'll set himself up for a nice gap up to Iadavea for the next lap if the speed continues. But how about it again for KA Senior move up, Pro X30 debut, Keegan Kaminsky in the number 41. You'll see that here at this point in the season with a few drivers starting to gear up for the following year's championship. And so Kaminsky, 2 days of testing, 2 days of practice here, and you see him up the road there resetting himself on the racetrack for another lap at it. So that'll drop him down the board. Iadavea will now take over the top spot to Maverick McKenna. Remy Andriatos will go to 3rd, Henry Lepard to 4th, McQueen 5th. Remo Ruschetti continues to lead the pack around in the 95, and he's only 6th currently on the Catalyst Ital Kart. Then you'll find Connor Chin debut weekend for the 28, then Kaminsky, Finnegan Bailiff 9th, Naomi Garcia, then Sydney Cassells, Kyler Cheatham. Then we have a number of new names to the SKUSA Pro Tour with this weekend. Emiliano Hinojosa, Theodore Corelli, Gustavo Guimarães, Callahan Peter, and Chris Giram. Your 17 here from the first group. They should, at least the first couple, get another go at it to make 4 laps if they want to. They're right on the bubble of whether or not the checkers will hit. 30 seconds to go. Aya de Vea just a little up the road here from McQueen and Garcia. Still waiting to see if the 42 can find a little more. Kaminsky looks like he might be on a good lap, towing up to the back of Aya de Vea. Around the last turn we go. Ruschetti first to the line here. They will get another. It will be good enough for a big change there inside the top 5. In fact, it'll go all the way to Remy Andriatos. He'll tie Naomi Garcia's lap time that time by. Maverick McKenna will improve as well. It'll all push Ruschetti down to 9th overall with towing around everyone who's faster than him, including Henry Lepard, who is 8th. So if Remo can't break away, if he continues to punch a hole in the air and the pack behind can continue to close up, well, he's going to be no better than the back of the top 10 in just the very first group. As behind, things have shifted. Nothing will happen for Aya de Vea, 3rd place currently, because he got passed there by Keegan Kaminsky. So the question will be if the 41 goes better or if the pack behind, even the 2 of them, close up with a little help.
Yeah, right now, look at that at the top of the board, though, because that is a dead tie, actually, between Riveros and Garcia at the moment. That we'll see how things really settle in with the fast group, but these drivers coming to the checker flag. Garcia does improve. McKenna goes even quicker. Garcia still had an even time with the 32 machine.
Yeah, no improvement for Naomi Garcia or Remy Andriatos. They stay gridlocked at a 69.042. Maverick McKenna fastest on the last lap out of this group. Aya de Vea is still 4th. Caden McQueen 5th in the group. Kaminsky, Finn Bailiff improves on the last lap to go a little better, but overall, or actually it was still only lap 3 for Finn. He only was able to match it. 7th for the 21. Lepard, Ruschetti, Connor Chin, Gustavo Guimarães, all the way to Kyler Cheatham and Sidney Cassell's the first 13. But now the fast group is released. And so here we go for the top drivers from Happy Hour. Outlaps underway for the final qualifying session here with Pro X30. One driver in particular this weekend is the beginning of maybe a continuation of a new beginning. Gus Lawrence. Caleb has more.
Thank you, Xander. I was talking to our most recent winner here in SKUSA competition in the Pro X30 class. Gus Lawrence missed the test weekend, said a lot different than Cincinnati, right? He's feeling nervous kind of coming into this qualifying session. Hasn't yet gotten up to grips with the track, made a mistake in the happy hour session. We'll see how he rolls off here in this qualifying session.
He was fastest in practice 4, though. He looks to be in a decent spot here. Maybe the best thing for him was not being the first driver in happy hour, because for one, you don't have to reposition to get a tow. You're going to start behind some of the fastest drivers in the field and be able to close up to them. But also, it doesn't put a target on your back. Like Caleb said, he's our most recent winner on the SKUSA Pro Tour, Justin, and he did so in dominant fashion in round 4. Nobody could catch him. He built a lead and he held it all the way to the checkers.
Yeah, he was talked about all weekend as being one of the favorites, if not the favorite, just because not only his experience, but the fact that he caught on so quickly at Cincinnati. He talked about how it had been a track that had fit his characteristics from England, with the bumpiness there when we were talking with him at that race time. Now, these days, you're talking about a much different circuit, more draft-dependent circuit, and you're talking about a facility that not too many people have notes on in the first place. So it's going to add that much bigger of a challenge here for Lawrence to be able to get up to speed fully on this track and be able to sort things out here if he wants a true shot here, especially to battle with his teammate yet again in Ryan Norberg.
Yeah, Ryan Norberg yesterday, one of those really silent practice days for the number 1. He didn't really make any noise in any particular session, but the best always find a way to get to the front when it matters most. And this first session of the weekend that pays points, qualifying, 10 points to the top qualifier, that could be big here if he could score that and potentially put up a day equal or better to his drop round. That might just put the championship out of reach for Austin Garrison. But on the first lap by from this group, the number 6 is better. A 68.70 for Garrison and a 68.56 for Diego Ramos, the KA Senior Pole Award winner, trying to double up on Saturday. The number 3 plate, a 10th.5 here at the end of the opening lap.
Yeah, Diego Ramos not bad at all so far, and we've seen decent speed from Ramos this season in this kart. He's been able to be in the conversation a couple times over, but so far it hasn't been the major focus. Last time out, he did have some chances to battle, to be able to join in. But Garrison jumps top of the board. Austin Garrison lays the gauntlet down as Norberg falls down the board.
Yeah, Austin Garrison, a 68 flat there, passes Ramos' same time. Norberg fades further back, but still able to end up 3rd at the end of lap 2. Paulie Massimino now jumping up to the 4th spot. Blake Nash to 5th. Donovan Bonilla 6th. Aiden Ingrata back and forth. Was with Speed Concepts Racing at the opening weekend. Back with RPG on the next time we saw him. Back with the SCR crew here this weekend. And now he is 7th. But with a half second to his teammate, then ZCD, Lawrence down in 9th, and then Ruben Moya in 10th. With the potential last laps coming up here with how much they've all spread apart. Let's see how many drivers get the option of a 4th lap and if they take it to the line here for Austin Garrison, needing a mega day to keep the championship hopes alive. He needs those 10 points badly, and right now he has a hold of them, but it will only stay for another quarter of a second. Ramos back up there.
Ramos at this point might have a chance of contention. Looks like Garrison, happy with his run, is going to come on down. Feels like he's got the track position to be able to contend, but Ramos could be that thorn in the side to the championship contenders here today in terms of trying to get a max points haul. Right now seems to be absolutely flying in both of his classes here in this one here in Newcastle. He's got some good draft as well. I believe that time for Ramos may potentially stick at the very least in the top 3 here, depending on what Norberg responds with.
Yeah, Diego Ramos trailing Aiden Ingrata. This is a great place to be, or at least it was. Ingrata drops a tire off in the shark fin. That'll do one of 2 things, either hurt Ramos here or it'll give him a mega tow out of the last turn. He's still on provisional pole. He'll look to maybe pass, and indeed he does on Ingrata on this last lap. Aiden will let him go and to the line. I don't know if it'll be enough to improve on his previous best. Let's see it. Not going to happen. He'll have to hold and hope the 67.9 sticks. And as the final laps tick on, Chase Hand will be the only one in the top 10 to improve. It'll be Diego Ramos on top in Pro X30 qualifying by 17 thousandths of a second over Austin Garrison and Ryan Norberg. What a run here for PSL Karting's own to put it on the pole in both senior categories. And it'll be Norberg on the inside behind him in row 2 alongside Massimino, Blake Nash, Bonilla, Mossman, and crew as they roll into the scale line with qualifying coming to a close here from Newcastle. What a great Saturday morning it must be for Diego Ramos. Doubling up P1 in both.
It's going to be all smiles, I think, here, absolutely here today. Just has been blistering quick. And now it's going to be the matter of can he carry it all the way to the pre-finals, keep things up. But really impressed in particular with Chase Hand. Haven't seen that name too much up towards the front this season, but an 8th place qualifying run to start things off here on the day. Able to show his hand on being able to put together some runs. The American race car driver and GMC factory driver able to put up a good run.
We'll take a quick break, folks, as we switch over. Members only for the pre-finals and finals, at least to watch it all live. $9.99 if you sign up on an Android or a Windows device. Hope to see you on the other side of this break with pre-final action for KA Junior getting set to roll.
Hey, what's up, Caleb? What's up, Brandon? You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, Got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
It's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome. From Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States #1 shop for all of your karting equipment.